مرحبا بكم في الجلسة الثالثة للمؤتمر، والتي ستكون تحت عنوان المصدر المفتوح كجسر لنقل التقنية، والتي يبدأها الدكتور ناصر الزيدي مدير مركز نظم المعلومات بجامعة السلطان قابوس، وسيتحدث عن استخدام البرمجيات الحرة والمفتوحة المصدر بجامعة السلطان قابوس ليس لمجرد خفض التكاليف.
Welcome back to our third session titled Open Source as a Bridge for Technology Transfer, that will start with the talk given by Dr. Nasser Al Zidi, Director of Center of Information Systems at Sultan Qaboos University. His talk will be about FOSS in Sultan Qaboos University beyond cost cutting.
شيء بوينتر بوينتر شيء بوينتر to change. Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Thank you all for coming to this presentation. I'm Nasser Al Zidi. I'm an associate professor in computer science department and also the director of the Center for Information Systems. And throughout this talk, I'll be shedding some lights about the usage of FOSS solutions in SQU and what are the benefits that we have foreseen as a result of this adoption. So before the start, I'm going to give you just a brief overview about the IT services in SQU that would just give you an idea about the infrastructure, about the environment that we are running. And then I'll go through some examples which I think are worth highlighting about that have been adopted in SQU. We'll then talk a little bit about some of the benefits that we have seen and will continue to see probably in the future as a result of this adoption. And finally, I'll conclude by some success factors that made this thing possible at the end of the day. So when we talk about IT infrastructure in SQU, we are actually talking about huge infrastructure, a huge landscape of users. So we daily service more than 25,000 users. These are students, staff, contractors, visitors. So they all come and they use our IT services on a daily basis. And of course, to cater for all of this large number of users with all different needs, you need a huge infrastructure. So CIS, the Center for Information Systems, hosts all SQU data. So the grades for students, the salaries for the staff, conference proceedings, everything. So everything you could think about is hosted in our data center, and that takes a lot of burden actually to make sure and know it's in a safe place, in a reliable place, and available all times. We run the major systems. HRFMS is the Human Resources and Finance Management System. We run SIS, Students Information System. We run CMS, Correspondence Management Systems, and these are just to mention a few. So these are some major legacy systems that we maintain, and they are actually the backbone of almost all IT solutions in SQU. In addition to providing hardware and software support, we also provide the basic services like the internet, the email, cloud services, and many IT solutions for teaching and research and administration. So this is just a brief overview about the things that we do. To do this, our data center actually hosts a very large number of servers. So we are talking about around 300 servers, different platforms. Some of them are physical, some of them are virtual. And the network, there are around 800 switches connecting every corner of SQU with each other, of course, with fiber optics. So it's a huge infrastructure to look after. All right, so that's just to give you an idea about the things that we are doing. Now, we have been encouraging and adopting the use of open source solutions for different reasons, as we will discuss at the end of this talk. But I'm just going to go through some of the major solutions that I think are worth highlighting, and just to give you an idea about about their adoption in here. So one of the major things that this project is still not completed. We have finished about 60% of it, but this is about acquiring a new ERP solution. Existing solution that runs the university is HRFMS, which is an Oracle-based homemade solution, which is based in a little bit old technology. It's been now for running the university for almost 20 years. And it's just about time to change it. Of course, going to this solution doesn't come from the blue. There has been a lot of studies, and we've looked at many options, including licensed software and solutions from very well-known companies. And then at the end of the day, we opted to go for Odoo for many reasons, but to be honest, one of them is really cost of acquiring this solution. In the current phase, in the first phase, this is going to cover different modules of any ERP system: payroll, HR, finance, different aspects of supply chain. And in the future, we are going to add other modules to the solution. For those who doesn't know, this is based on Apache Tomcat, and it uses PostgreSQL as a backend database. Development is done in Python, and actually this is one of the first adoptions of Python in the center. This is one of the first solutions where we adopt Python into our infrastructure. Of course, as everybody knows, adopting an ERP solution is not only the technology. There have been a lot of processes before it. One of the major things is that we have done a very extensive process re-engineering so that we can make use of this solution. That's one major thing. Another important solution that is based on open source is the SQU portal. And this is an electronic portal which provides a variety of self-services, electronic self-services to different types of stakeholders in SQU, starting from students all the way to academics, admin staff, and even alumni. There are a very large number of services, and we are continuously adding new features, new services to this portal. The portal is based on LifeRay, and the development is done mainly using Java Enterprise, using Spring framework, if I am not very technical. The development of this service is one of the things that we are proud of. Every service in this portlet is entirely 100% developed by CIS staff, so it's locally developed from scratch. Before the LifeRay portal, before adapting the open source solution here, we were in Oracle portal. So we ran Oracle portal for many years, and then we switched to this one in 2015 with added new features. And at that time, we also adapted Spring framework for the development. The common two systems, SQU journals and SQU conferences, are based on open source solutions. This one is based on Open Journal system. Just for your information, SQU publishes around 6 refereed journals. They accept submissions from authors from every corner. And the entire life cycle of submitting a journal publication, from the submission all the way to the review, to the publication, to the archiving, is all done through this system. Previously, before the adoption of this system, every single journal of the 6 has been doing it in a separate way. So The Journal for Science, for example, is handled by the College of Science. The Journal of Medicine is handled by the College of Medicine in a totally different way. There is no coherency, and everybody uses their own solution, and they are paying their own license for this. This solution unified everything in one single platform that covers the entire life cycle of journal publications, and the same thing applies for SQU conferences. SQU runs a very large number of conferences yearly. And all of these conferences go through very, very well-defined life cycle, from the approval point of view until publishing, submission of journals, review of journals, participation in the conferences, and the entire life cycle of of conference publications. And again, this system covers the entire life cycle. One of the additions that we did to the system is that we have added an online payment plugin to the solution that is connected to the online payment gateway in ITA in Oman here. And that is now just a plugin to the new solution. So we actually contributed to this open source solution, not only used it and customized it, but we added this plugin, which can also be adopted by anyone, of course, after testing and going through the process. One of the major solutions also that I probably should talk about is the SQU Data Warehouse project. You know, as a university with a very large number of students and staff, there is a very huge amount of data going around related to students, related to grades, related to staff, research, teaching, you name it, infrastructure. A huge amount of data is going around, and decision makers, top administration, and actually not only decision makers and top administrations, but also executives, they need live data to make informed decisions about everyday business of the university. Currently, we have a small dashboard which is based on Oracle portal as well, and it is available for some top officials in SQU. Now, this project will move this dashboard to a completely full open source solution. We are using it for data analytics, and this is going to be very dynamic, and it's going to connect to different data marts at different operational units in SQU, providing up-to-date analytics to the decision makers. I should also mention that this project involves a component which is basically an integration with Ministry of Higher Education. And that's again done with using open source solutions. So we integrate with Ministry of Higher Education, where we push a lot of statistics to the Ministry of Higher Education for their statistical analysis. That includes data about students and staff and infrastructure and even financial information. Right, so these are the things that I probably should touch on. These are related mostly to the end users. They are user programs, if you may say so. I should also mention two other solutions. I think they are worth talking about. One of them is GitHub. Everybody here probably should know about GitHub. And it's a source code versioning control system. And we have our own installation in our data center. The GitHub installation in SQU actually hosts all source code of our systems and their documentations. So this is our own local installation of GitHub. It's fully used and utilized and customized, configured by CIS staff. And actually, it helped a lot. You know, when you are in a position that requires you to manage this huge set of code that is being changed by different group members, a solution like GitHub is a must. And it helped the development a lot in SQU. This is, of course, not seen by end users, but for the programmers, for the technicians, for the system administrators, this is a great support. One of the other solutions we are also very proud of is the adoption of an automated ITSM solution, an IT service management solution. This is based on ITOP, ITOB is an open source solution, and it is based on ITIL framework for IT service management. Adoption of this solution actually comes as a second phase of aligning our IT service management with international standards. So we decided to go with ITIL international standards. And ITIL, the life cycle of ITIL, different components of it, is adopted by ITOB. And so we found it as a very good solution to start with. So we adopted this solution. It's fully customized, fully configured by CIS team. We have updated and customized our configuration management database, where our entire infrastructure is now loaded to the system, including every single piece of hardware in our data center is now available in this solution, and we can track it to the machine. At the current stage, the solution supports service management, incident management, service requests, and also recently, we have also adopted change management. Users have access to the solution where they can report incidents and they can also request services. And the solution, of course, supports defining SLAs with the users with certain service level targets that should be met, and automatic escalations are available if these targets are not met. So this helped a lot, actually enhancing the services provided to the end user customers. One of the other solutions that probably I should mention, although there isn't much of development in here, but I think this is a very big move, not only technically, but in change management. You know, SQU library is probably the largest library in the country, and there are almost 70 machines, 70 dedicated computers. They all run Windows, and they are only used to search the library catalog. So the only usage of that machine is a browser, where they search the library catalog. These machines has to be in a separate domain for us. We have to manage them in a separate way because they need certain privileges. And so we decided to, well, look, why don't we look for another solution? It's only a kiosk. It's only used for searching the catalog. So we found a solution. It's a kiosk-based, a Linux kiosk-based solution, which only provided the search catalog interface for the end users, and we managed to replace 70 of these machines. When I said this is not only a technical thing, it takes a lot of time, to be honest with you, to convince people to adopt the new solutions. You know, people are very happy with what they had, and changing them to a completely new solution was not an easy task. But we took that challenge, and alhamdulillah, we managed to install the solution. It's now working fine. We also installed it in the MOSC library recently, and there is a plan to replace other libraries in the campus. So that would account for more than 100 plus machines. They are all converted to this new search engine, search kiosks. Education-wise, I don't know if I still have time, but just to touch on a few things. We believe the change shouldn't be only operational. It shouldn't only be systems that you change, but students should also be exposed to these technologies, because at the end of the day, these are the human resources you prepare for the future. So in the computer science department where I belong, we've managed to change 2 labs, which were just few semesters back, are only Windows, and we managed to change all of them to Linux. They are now only Linux machines, and believe it or not, it's not an easy task. The resistance to change is not only from students, because students, you can just push them and ask them, if you are not going to do this, I'm going to give you an F. Easy story. The issue is actually with the instructors and the technical teams to adopt the new solutions. But alhamdulillah, this has been a successful story. We have now moved two of these labs. All the courses taught in these labs are fully in Linux, and we are moving new courses to get exposed, if I may say so, if not converted to get exposed to new solutions. And that includes courses like operating systems, networking, mobile development, Java, different courses of programming, and you name it. There are some other initiatives that I just should mention. These solutions are being developed. I highlighted these two for a good reason. These two solutions, the College of Science Herbarium System and SQU 1000-point systems, I'm not going to talk about the functionalities, just not to confuse everyone in here. But these are systems requested by SQU units. Why I'm highlighting here, these two systems, we have outsourced them. We are not developing them here in-house by our team. But we put as one of our requirements for those who tender for these two systems is that we insist in developing these using fully open source solutions. So not only the solutions that we develop ourselves, but also the solutions that we outsource to third parties, we also put that as a requirement, as a system requirement. Of course, whenever possible, we put that frame whenever possible. And we believe it is always possible, to be honest. Well, I can just to give room for whatever other cases that might arise. I should also mention this SPSS versus PSPP, if I spelled it correctly. Everybody probably is familiar with SPSS. SQU is an educational institute. We use a lot of license for SPSS. College of Science, a few years back, acquired 300 license only for SPSS, only College of Science, one college out of 10. Recently, we managed to convince the end users to switch to PSPP, which is an open source alternative to this. Every version of SPSS depends on the packages that you acquire. Every version of SPSS will cost you around something between 80 to 120 Omani riyals. And then you do the math and you find how much saving has been done to only by adopting one single solution. Right. So that's just a general overview about some of the systems that we have been using in SQU. Now, what benefits? Of course, cost cutting is one of the major things. Either development cost, licensing cost, maintenance cost, AMCs, and so on and so forth. That's just a very quick calculations, very rough and quick calculations that I have done. For the systems that I have just mentioned to you, the estimated cost, if we have to procure these and pay license and use non-open source solutions, would cost us about 3.25 million Omani riyals. That's around $8 million or more. Only for the solutions that I've just mentioned to you. And we believe that's a very big saving. So if there is anything else except cost cutting, it is still worth going for this direction. Of course, you have to put the other factors into the picture. Other things, other very big achievement that I think is a key benefit is building capacity. Oman, as a developing country, needs to build capacity when it comes to software usage and when it comes to software development. And open source solutions actually allows building capacity in terms of using the software, because when you have an operating system that costs you zero, you shouldn't worry about the gap. Some people would be able to procure the solution, others would not be able to do it because it costs you zero. It doesn't only cost you zero, but you are free to redistribute it. So it's easy to acquire, it's easy to develop, and that enhances the usage of these solutions across the different spectrums of the society. When it comes to software development, and as a development center, the ability to freely modify and distribute and learn is a very big plus. because inspecting programmers probably know this better than anyone else, but probably the most important tool for programmers to learn is to look at the source code. And once you have the source code, you can learn a lot, and then you can build your capacity based on other people's experience. Open source, by its nature, it allows collaborative, collaboration between different communities, and it provides exceptional training opportunities. There are open communities. You can just pose your question, pose your ideas, share your concerns, and you would find very huge communities that would interact with you. And of course, again, when it comes to open source solutions, because you can contribute to the development, you can contribute to the customization of this, you can also inject your cultural and local context constraints to the standards. So you can, for example, inject the Arabic language to these systems. You can put the constraints that are related to your culture and to your local context to the solutions. And nobody's going to stop you as long as it satisfies the standards. Right, so there are many other benefits. I'm probably not going to need them, but at least our experiment in SQU, in the solutions that we have adopted, we managed to escape the vendor lock. So we no more are tightened with X or Y vendors for these solutions. Reliability and stability, and we have witnessed this. We run a lot of different servers using different platforms, and statistics shows this very crystal clear when it comes to the stability of these solutions and reliability. I believe, although we haven't done this yet in SQU, sure, I'm finishing in 2 minutes. Relying, especially when it comes to national level, relying in black boxes for security, for antiviruses, for firewalls, for proxies, is really a security constraint, because you have no idea what goes into these black boxes. The ability to adopt open source solutions for security reasons is, I think, is of a national interest for every country. I mentioned it enables localization, and it reduces software piracy because of the availability of different free and open source alternatives. I'll conclude by this slide. These are some of the success factors we believe they are crucial for adoption of any open source solution. The first one, and I think the most important, is bringing all stakeholders on board. Convincing top management, convincing your technical team, user awareness is what would make this change possible. We shouldn't expect that we can bring an open source solution and just deploy it and ask people to use it without doing a very proper and intensive change management plan. So we believe getting stakeholders on board is a key success factor. Training and knowledge transfer, you need to train your technical team. You need to provide them opportunities on how to obtain new knowledge. We also need to build, as a nation, as a university, and as a center, for my context, we need to build local support. One of the challenges in open source communities is finding support for the solution that you build. So you are confronted with this issue, and you have to build the local support, either in an industry, in academia, within your technical team, but we have to build the local support. We have to be able to support the solutions that we adopt. We have to foster engagement with FOSS communities, because that's the direction where the source where you could get a lot of help. And doing a very good selection is very important. There are so many alternatives outside there, and doing your homework and doing a proper selection would contribute a lot to the successful implementation of the solution. Share and distribute. It's open source, so we shouldn't only use, we should share and redistribute. That makes it much more beneficial for the community. And of course, it might sound weird a little bit, but I believe providing incentives for the projects, for the technical team, would help a lot. At the end of the day, the technical teams who adopt this will invest from their time and effort in learning new technologies. So, you know, giving some incentives would definitely keep the momentum and, you know, keep the wheel rolling for different other factors. That was my last slide. I apologize if I have taken longer than what I should. Thank you all.